Thank you, sir and ma'am, for the kind introduction. And good afternoon to all. Hope you are keeping safe and in high spirits. So I'll begin my presentation with a PowerPoint presentation, and I request all of you that you may ask the questions after I finish my presentation. So I'll share my presentation with you first of all. So we'll be talking about how to deal with stress during this time of epidemic. A word about coronavirus. In January 2020, WHO declared COVID-19 to be a public health emergency of international concern. And in March 2020, WHO declared it as a pandemic. So, in brief, it is a large family of virus and it causes various type of infections ranging from common cold to serious infections, severe respiratory infections. And in brief, the cardinal symptoms of this disease are fever, difficulty in breathing, and dry cough. Other symptoms like tiredness, aches, pains, nasal congestion, diarrhea may also occur. It is important to focus that most of the people are asymptomatic and have mild illness. So about 80% recover without needing special treatment or hospitalization. So we equate coronavirus with death. That is not the case. 80% people are asymptomatic or have mild symptoms and they recover without needing special treatment. So this line I want to emphasize upon. So transmission, how does it spread? We all know that it spread through droplets, direct contact, droplets from the infected person, or touching the infected person, or touching the articles which were previously touched by the infected person. Prevention is very important. This we all know that we have to stay at home as far as possible and regularly and thoroughly wash our hands with an alcohol-based hand rub or with soap and water, and maintain at least 1 meter distance between yourself and others. Avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth. If we happen to touch any contaminated article or droplets, then touching our eyes, nose, and mouth may infect us. Also, in order to prevent the spread of infection to others, we have to cover our mouth with elbow or handkerchief or tissue while we are coughing or sneezing, and we have to immediately discard the tissue. If we have cough, fever, or difficulty in breathing, then we must seek medical attention. So only cough and fever is not sufficient. Difficulty in breathing has to be there. And if we have come in contact with a COVID suspect, then also we should seek medical attention. So now the main topic of today, COVID-19 and mental health. So how does COVID-19 affect our mental health? So COVID-19 affects mental health at the individual level as well as the community level. How at the individual level, people suffer from insecurity. That is sort of uncertainty. Uncertainty is the key word. Uncertainty about yourself being infected or your family members and friends being infected. Confusion. Confusion in the sense that what guidelines to follow, what advice to follow, who is right, who is more reliable, which source is more reliable. So the person may appear confused. Emotional isolation may occur because of the physical distancing. The people might not be able to share their feelings and emotions with others. Stigma. Stigma is also prevailing. Like if a person becomes infected with COVID, or a family member of the person becomes infected, or a health worker who is working with the COVID patient, they are shunned down by the society. So the individual might suffer from stigma, and that may lead to more stress and anxiety and low mood. People are also suffering at the community level in terms of economic loss, the closure of industries, factories, small scale, middle scale industries. So economic loss, our community is suffering from economic loss, work and school closures leading to a backlog of syllabus in school. Inadequate resources for medical response, as we know that our hospital beds are falling short, ventilators are falling short, PPE kits, gloves, masks, they all are falling short, leading to increased risk of exposure to the health workers. And there is deficient distribution of necessities. So India being a large population, it is very difficult to reach every person to supply with the necessities. So a person may suffer from a range of emotional reaction, distress or psychiatric conditions. Psychiatric condition in the form of anxiety, low mood, irritability, loneliness, disturbed sleep, appetite, and, and they may resort to unhealthy behaviors. In boredom and under stress, to relieve boredom, people might resort to substance abuse like alcohol, smoking, cannabis. And due to the frustration and boredom, the person might become rebellious and become non-compliant with the public health directives like breaking the rules of lockdown and defying home confinement. So the vulnerability to stress varies among individuals, and we all have different coping abilities to deal with stress. So people who are at higher risk of facing the stress in this time are the older people and people with chronic disease who are at high risk for COVID-19. Children and teens, people who are helping with the response to COVID-19, like doctors and healthcare providers. Doctors are and healthcare providers are worried that they might catch the illness because they are at high risk of exposure, and they may infect their family members also. And also the first responders, the police personnel, army, the sweepers, they also are at a high risk of crisis because they are at a high risk of infection. And also people who have mental health condition, people who are already suffering from anxiety, depression, psychosis, or any psychiatric condition, they are more vulnerable to stress, and their existing psychiatric condition may exacerbate during this time. So as I told you, what might be the symptoms that one might face during this time are fear and worry about your own health and about the health of your loved ones, like constant fear that you might catch the illness, or your family member or friends might catch the illness. Change in sleep or eating patterns. You might eat less, one might eat less, there is lack of appetite, or there is excessive eating, binge eating. Then difficulty concentrating in your work, in watching movies. So because of anxiety impairs concentration. Worsening of chronic health problems, the already existing health problems, like if a person has hypertension or diabetes or hypothyroidism, because of the stress, immunity becomes weaker, and the health problems might exacerbate. And increased use of alcohol, tobacco, and other substances might increase during this time. So the main topic of today, how to cope with stress of COVID-19. So we have to understand the importance of lockdown. So we have to look the lockdown in a positive light, not like a restriction or a punishment, but it is but in the sense that it is for our own benefit. So lockdown is meant to prevent the spread of infection from one person to another, to protect ourselves and others. So we have to see the silver lining. We have to find opportunities in which we can enhance our productivity during the lockdown, rather than considering lockdown as a limitation or as a restriction. We have to look it in a positive light. We have to understand the importance of lockdown and follow the directives, like not stepping out of the house except for buying necessities, reducing the number of trips outside, only a single healthy family member making the trips when absolutely necessary. If there is anyone in the house who is very sick and may need to get medical help, you must be aware of the health facility nearest to you. So how to handle social isolation? So I must make a point here that social distancing or social isolation is a misnomer. So it is basically physical distancing or physical isolation, because social di- socially we are connected through technology, and in this time it is recommended to be more socially connected through the use of technology with our friends and family members. So social distancing is a misnomer rather than we should practice physical distancing. So how to handle social isolation? We have to structure the day. We have to make a routine of the day. Getting up at the same time, taking a shower, just as we used to do when we were working or attending classes. Getting up at the same time, taking shower, be busy, have a regular schedule, help in doing some of the work at home, helping your mother, sister, preparing food, washing utensils, sweeping, washing clothes. So it will make you productive. So that will increase your confidence and decrease the level of stress. And one must distract oneself from the negative emotions by listening to music, reading, watching an entertainment program on television. And we always complain that whatever hobbies we have, we earlier we were not able to do because of our busy life, because we were busy in studies or going to college or in offices. Now is the time to revisit our old hobbies. Now it is the opportunity to revisit our old hobbies, like whatever hobbies you have: painting, gardening, stitching, or cooking, or writing poetry, reading books. So this is the opportunity to hone your skills and revisit your hobbies. We have to take care of our health also. We have to eat well, balanced diet, and drink plenty of fluids. So the main focus is to keep our immunity strong. And also healthy food will decrease the level of stress. One has to be physically active and do simple indoor exercise that will keep you fit and feeling fit. So exercise is very important because being physically active and physically fit will increase our resilience to tolerate the stress and also boost our immunity. So physical health is directly linked to mental health. If you are physically fit, we'll be more mentally fit. So physical exercise in the form of yoga, you can do aerobics, Zumba, dance, and anything that you like. You can do at home or in your premises. You can have a brisk walk. So exercise is very important, at least 20 to 30 minutes every day. And it will also release the feel good hormones, the stress relieving hormones, the dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, which will make you feel good and productive and improve your immunity. So next thing is sharing is caring. Understand if someone around you needs advice, food, or other essentials. Be willing to share. So in this time, altruism or being show act of kindness to others. So showing act of kindness will relieve your stress and will make you feel more productive. Like if your neighbor needs some essentials and he or she is not able to go outside, you can bring for them. So this act of kindness will definitely improve your mood and confidence. So we have to, if you have elderly people or children at home, we have to focus on them. uh, Elderly people may feel confused, lost, and need help. So we have to offer them help by getting them what they need, like medicines, daily needs. So elderly people may feel lonely more often than adults. So we have to pay special attention to them, and their immunity has to be up because they are more vulnerable to COVID infection. If you have children or small sister brother at home, then structuring their day is very important. Giving them books to read or some games, or engaging them in household chores is important, because otherwise they may feel irritable. So this is very important that we have to focus on facts and reject rumors. So make sure to access and believe only the most reliable sources of information for self protection. Sites like WHO, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, CDC, these are reliable sites. So we can visit them regularly to look for facts. rather than following the sensational news, the breaking news, rather than uh, whole day we are glued to TV channels, listening to the breaking news. So every 5 minutes we are looking at the news. So this is not healthy. So we have to just limit our seeing of the news to 1 or 2 times per day, not more than that, and that is sufficient. So avoid seeing all the breaking news on TV and just limit your viewing of the news to 1 to 2 times per day. That will decrease the anxiety definitely. So, and also do not keep discussing all the time about who got sick and how. Rather than learn about who got well and recovered. So we have to look on the positive aspects. That how many people are recovering, if we personally know someone, we have to spread the news that he or she has recovered, and we have to spread how the caregiver helped the person to recover, and appreciate the caregiver of that person also. So as I've told that corona is not equivalent to death. So most people, corona infection has only mild symptoms, and 80% have mild symptoms, and they don't require hospitalization and no specific treatment, and they recover without any specific treatment or hospitalization. So we might face emotional problems like feeling irritable, anxious, lonely, low mood during this time. When anxious, we have to breathe slowly for a few minutes, think of something calm and serene, and slow down our mind. When feeling irritated, frustrated, counting back from 10 to 1, it helps. So during this time, feeling lonely or sad is quite common. So we have to stay connected with family and friends. So I again emphasize that there is no social distancing. There is only physical distancing. This time we should be more socially connected than before. So we have to regularly call our friends, family members, and ask them about their well-being. Also, this is the time we can catch up with our old friends, our school friends, friends with whom we are talking less since past few years because of our busy schedule. So this is a time to catch up with them and reunite. So this has to be followed. So as I said that we might suffer from stress, low mood, irritability. This is natural. During this time, one might suffer from these problems. So if we have these problems, then we should talk to someone like friends, family members, or anybody who we feel comfortable with. But if these symptoms are not relieved by after talking to these people, then we should consider talking on a mental health helpline with a mental health professional. So there are some helpline numbers which I'll share with you later. So clinical psychologists, social workers, and psychiatrists are available on helpline to counsel you and guide you. And but if these feelings worsen, if one started feeling sad all the time, helpless and hopeless, or have death wishes or suicidal ideations, then it is better to visit a nearby psychiatrist in your nearby hospital. So, what is not advisable? So, as I said, that stress can increase boredom and low mood, and loneliness is there. So to get rid of loneliness and to enhance our mood, some people might resort to maladaptive techniques like taking tobacco, alcohol, or drugs. So this has to be avoided during this time, because this will taking drugs or alcohol or nicotine will further spoil our mood, and it will decrease our immunity. So taking substances is really not advisable during this time. And also, people who have substance use problem, who are already taking substances on a regular basis, they might need professional help during this time, because they might suffer from withdrawal symptoms. If a person who was taking alcohol regularly, if he or she is not getting alcohol during this time, he or she might suffer from withdrawal symptoms like anxiety, tremors, nausea, vomiting, headache, difficulty sleeping. So that person might need professional help. So we have to look for these people in among our family or friends, and advise them help. So one thing is that stigma should be eliminated. We should not shun or judge people with the COVID infection. While you need to maintain a physical distance and keep yourself safe to prevent such infection, remember that they need care and concern. Like we can connect them through phone. If not physically, we can connect them through phone and support them rather than shunning them or shunning their family members. So this stigma has to be eliminated. And also stigma against the healthcare workers, that also has to be eliminated. So, and if you know someone who might have the infection, you should tell them about the precautions and how to get medical assistance if required. So, all the knowledge you have about the helpline numbers or the symptoms or the nearby hospitals, one should share them with the person who is in the need. So, we have to work collaboratively rather than stigmatizing the other people. We have to work collaboratively. So, as I said, that people respond to stress. There is varied response to stress, and people have different coping abilities. So, person who already have mental illness like anxiety, depression is very common nowadays. So, if one is already suffering from anxiety or depression or psychosis or substance problem or any other psychiatric illness, he or she is more vulnerable to the effect of lockdown and this pandemic during this time. So we have to take special care of them and regularly ask them how they are feeling, and see if their symptoms are worsening, and see that they are taking their medications, their psychiatric medications on time or not, and if they need consultation. So so isolation make them more withdrawn, moody, or irritable. Their symptoms of anxiety, depression, psychosis may exacerbate during this time. So it is very important to maintain compliance to medications and regularly asking them how they are feeling. So we have to take special care of persons with mental illness. And apart from old age people, children, and person with mental illness, they have to be taken special care. Help and support is vital for persons with mental illness from their families and other caregivers. Helplines can also provide support. In addition to regularly taking of prescribed medication, a regular daily routine is essential. Person with mental illness, they have to structure their day, and a regular daily routine should be followed. So one has to be compassionate and supportive. Again, stigma has to be eliminated. COVID-19 has and is likely to affect people from many countries and in many geographical locations. When referring to people with COVID-19, do not attach the disease to any particular ethnicity or nationality. Be empathetic to all those who are affected in and from any country. So we do not have to link COVID with specific class of people, specific gender, specific religion, or specific country. It can affect anybody, and anybody who is infected with COVID, it's not like they have done something wrong, and they deserve our support, compassion, and kindness. And just I said that we have to find opportunities to amplify positive and hopeful stories and positive images of local people who have experienced COVID-19. We have to share stories of people who have recovered, and we have to appreciate their caregivers. One more very important thing is that we have to honor our healthcare workers, workers who are supporting people affected with COVID-19, and we have to acknowledge the role they are playing in saving lives and keeping your loved ones safe. Healthcare workers, nurses, laboratory staff, sweepers, they all have to be respected, and we have to acknowledge the role they are playing, and we should have respect for them. So recently we have seen many incidences that people were showing throwing stones on them, so that is very disheartening, so that should not be done. So in this time, when one can deal with stress and prevent stress from happening by doing some relaxation exercise like deep breathing. Deep breathing is simple. We have to breathe from abdomen. We have to count 4 while inhaling, and then hold our breath for count of 2, and then exhale for the count of 6. And we have to do this while sitting on a chair or lying down and in a calm environment. And we can repeat this 3 to 4 times for 2 to 3 times a day. So regularly doing this will make us more relaxed. So other techniques, like all these techniques, whoever is interested in practicing these techniques can reach to me on my email, and I can provide the link or the videos uh, of these techniques, the reliable sources. So progressive muscle relaxation is there, in which one has to first of all breathe and calm himself down, and then contract specific groups of muscle and then release them. Contract for 5 seconds and then release them for 10 seconds. And in this way, the whole body gets relaxed. Physical exercise, just I told, is very important. Then we have autogenic training, in which we lie down and we give some self statements like our left arm is heavy and relaxed, our right arm is heavy and relaxed. Like that, we relax our whole body. Mindfulness is there. Mindfulness is a very good technique to combat stress and anxiety and even depression. So in this, main principle of mindfulness is that one has to be in the present moment, and judge and in a non-judgmental way. In mindfulness, we have mindfulness breathing, mindfulness eating, body scan, and many such techniques which can help you deal with stress and anxiety. Massage with a good oil. Family members can do that for you, and it will relax you. Then music or reading book, whatever you like, that can be done. One, yes, Nikita Prabhakar, I will provide my email at the end of the presentation. You can reach out to me. Then one most important thing is sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is very important during this phase. During this period of lockdown, we are sleeping late, we are getting up late, our whole schedule is getting distorted. So we have to sleep and wake up at the same time, even if we sleep late, but we have to wake up at the same time. And avoid taking daytime naps. If you are taking daytime naps, it should be limited to around 30 minutes or 40 minutes, not more than that. Then avoid taking coffee or tea, any stimulant after like 6 or 7 p.m. Then avoid heavy exercise after 7 p.m. Then while sleeping, before your scheduled time of sleeping, like 30 to 60 minutes before the scheduled time, you have to switch off your electronics, Netflix or electronics. You have to switch off the electronics, because during sleeping, if we continue seeing the Netflix or movies, then our mind gets stimulated and we are not able to sleep. So you have to switch off your electronics 1 hour before your scheduled sleeping time. Then if you have to do some calming exercise before sleeping, like reading a book or listening to light music, or doing the relaxation exercise which I have told you. So this will help you get a good sleep. Also, uh, in the daytime, you have to do some physical exercise so that you get tired and get good sleep at night. During sleeping at night, your room should be dark and noise free. If you are not able to sleep, then don't force yourself to sleep. If you're not able to sleep, for try for 15 minutes, then get up, go to other room, listen to light music, do some relaxation exercise, or do some any read a book, and then once you start feeling sleepy in the other room, then you come back to your bedroom and sleep. So you don't have to force yourself to sleep. So these are some points of sleep hygiene. So sleep hygiene has to be followed, because if your sleep gets disturbed, you are more vulnerable to stress. If your sleep gets disturbed, your immunity gets weaker, and you are more vulnerable to catching COVID infection and other diseases also. So sleep hygiene has to be followed. So these are some helpline numbers. In the first paragraph, I have given the helpline numbers for COVID-19 infection in general. And in the next second paragraph, I have given the helpline numbers for mental health support helpline. If you are not able to cope with stress, anxiety, or low mood, not able to cope even after talking with friends or family members, then you can reach out to these helplines, and mental health professionals are trained mental health professionals are there, who will help you out. So you can note these helplines. So just as I mentioned that you have to trust a reliable source for information, and rather than looking at every channel for the breaking news, you have to look at these reliable sources: WHO site, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare site, and others. So these are the sites which are very reliable, and you can have knowledge about the infection and the numbers. And but you should avoid searching extensively about the infection. It has to be limited to 1 or 2 times a day. That's it. So we are in this together, and together we can deal with stress. So thank you, and this is my email ID. You can reach out to me for any kind of help, like if you have questions regarding the COVID infection, or you are having stress, or you need any kind of help, or you want to clarify anything, you can reach out to me on this email. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Undoubtedly, we have received a very useful information and knowledge through this session. And I'm
Okay.
sure that this knowledge and information will help us to regain our spirit and enthusiasm towards life. Now, the floor is open for interaction. If anyone has any question, please ask. We can take maximum 4 to 5 questions.
I want, ma'am, as we are teaching students, so nowadays students have many problems regarding uncertainties about exams. They are living in the house. They are with the elderly people. As you have said in your this session that this is not social distancing. This is physical distancing. This is absolutely right. But my question is how we convince students that this is fine, everything will be fine at the end. But you need to be patient about these things and handle the things very wisely.
So students might
Yes,
panic
ma'am.
during this time because they are uncertain about their exams.
Yes, ma'am.
So uncertainty
Yes.
is there. Uncertainty is there in everybody. Exams are on hold, so this is there. Then there comes the role of teachers. Just like we are holding
Yes.
webinar here, you can talk to your students
Hmm.
on video. You can accommodate the student on video conferencing or Skype, and you can reassure them.
Okay.
And if possible, give them a tentative date of exam so that they have some amount of
Okay.
certainty rather than just saying we don't know when they're going to happen. Give them a tentative date. That will give some amount of certainty, and they can prepare. according to that.
for the
Yeah.
exam.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, there is one observation from her student who is Janvi Datta from BA Honors English. Sir, she wants to know how should the students deal with depression, as we all know this period is not a period of competition, while some people have made it a rat race.
Period of
So
competition.
should I repeat?
Yes, ma'am.
How should the students deal with depression, as we all know this period is not a period of competition, while some people have made it a rat race?
Okay. Okay. So, like this question is not quite clear. Like, how the people have made it a rat race or not a period of it's a period of competition. Uh, like, uh, like I'm not very clear about this question.
Just I would like to add in this, ma'am. I think she just wanted to ask, like, in the period of competition, we are in the house. We
Yes.
cannot learn as we can learn outside when we
Yes. Yes.
meet peers, we meet our faculty members face to face,
Yes. Yes.
physically, rather than we just virtually will connect with the student. That's she would
Okay.
wanted
Okay.
to ask.
So this period is same for everybody. So your competitors are also facing the same situation. You are also facing the same situation. So the resources and the situation is same for everybody. So you must consider that it is for everybody. We all are on the same platform, and we are on the same level. So it is just not only for you; it is for everybody. All the students and all your competitors. So you have to prepare. You have to think about that and then prepare. And studying is you have to in your daily routine. You have to make fixed hours for studies. So if you don't study, you will feel unproductive and you will feel anxious and stressed. So studying is very important and you have to keep fixed hours. So studying is important. You have to study for fixed hours every day. So in order to make yourself productive.
Sir, I have another observation. What intervention have to be taken when people who are already going through mental illness like OCD, PTSD, etc. have uh, have comorbidities along with it like depression, stress, anxiety, as during that period the adversities increase to a great extent.
Yes, that is
Should
definitely true. That is definitely true. I have mentioned it in my presentation also. So as I told you that person with mental illness like anxiety, depression, who already are suffering from anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, they are more vulnerable to stress during this time and they need more care. So first of all, the caregivers of these people who are suffering from some mental illness, they have to regularly support them and regularly ask them how they are feeling and see if their symptoms are worsening. Because in this period of stress, the symptoms of mental illness might worsen. Secondly, the medicines, if the person who is having a psychiatric illness is on medications, the medications should not be stopped because during this time the stress is more and the disease might worsen if you don't take the medication. If the person is on medication, the medication should not stop. So if you are not able to visit your doctor, you can have online consultation. Teleconsultation is there. Then if that is not possible, and if your symptoms are worsening or you are out of stock of medications, then you should visit your nearby psychiatrist or your treating psychiatrist. So person with psychiatric illness, they have to be taken special care of, and the mental health helplines are also there for any guidelines. So mental health helplines, teleconsultation, telepsychiatry is there, teleconsultation with psychiatrists, mental health helplines, and visiting the nearby psychiatrist. These are the three steps which can be taken.
Ma'am, one question from Miss Nikita Prabhakar, and she is asking, ma'am, I am a counseling psychologist at MIT. Can you please suggest how shall I help my students to deal with MDD and bipolar disorder?
if someone is suffering from MDD or bipolar disorder,
Yes, how to help them?
same steps. Just I told you the same steps. If a person is already suffering from any psychiatric disorder, anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, psychosis, anything, then these steps have to be taken. Which I told you. Maintaining a daily routine, like in bipolar disorder, disturbance of sleep-wake cycle, disturbed sleep might exacerbate the illness. So sleep schedule is very important in psychiatric illness. So they have to maintain a fixed sleep schedule, follow sleep hygiene, engage in activities, keep themselves busy, engage in productive activities, help in cooking or following their hobbies, then take the medication regularly. Don't skip medications if you are on medications. Then helplines are there, teleconsultation, and visiting the psychiatrist. These are the points for any person suffering from psychiatric illness.
Ma'am, one last question.
Sure.
Do you feel that is from our faculty? Do you feel that even after the lockdown is over, people will find it very difficult to be their real self and behave naturally? How would they manage to address a consistent fear of the virus lurking around to get them when going out to work?
Sure. So this is a very expected, like this is expected that after this situation is over, there might be a rise in the psychiatric illness or the symptoms. So yes, there can be fear and uncertainty later also. But same things, uh, just I told you that the things which I've told in this presentation during the lockdown, they have to be followed later also. The precautions have to be followed, healthy diet, lifestyle, following your hobbies, and seeking professional help. That has to be continued later also. After recovering from this period of lockdown, these steps have to be followed later also. We can't immediately stop this immediately once this crisis is over. This has to be followed later also in order to lessen down the uncertainty and anxiety. So these steps we have to follow later also, maybe in a lesser accentuated form, but they have to be followed.
Uh,
Pala,
now,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
yeah, actually, you had talked about some relaxation exercises,
Yes.
and I feel we have about 12 minutes of time.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
if you could, give some kind of, demonstration of four techniques which we have talked about, like deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation,
Hmm.
then autogenic training and mindfulness. So, is it possible to have a glimpse of these four different exercise and relaxation techniques by
Yes,
showing
sir.
some videos?
First of all, videos, reliable videos are available on YouTube, and in 12 minutes, we can do deep breathing. Progressive muscle relaxation needs more time, like 20 minutes to 30 minutes at least. So that can't be done in 12 minutes. So deep breathing can be done, autogenic training can be done.
So we
Then,
just want to have a feel, little bit,
okay.
of these
So
techniques.
deep breathing is like we can sit comfortably in a chair or lie down, and then we have to breathe at a natural rate, and don't have to force ourselves to breathe. Like at a natural rate, we have to breathe, and while inhaling, we have to count for four, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold our breath for 2, 1, 2, and then release. Release for count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this we can do for 4 times and 2 to 3 times a day. So this can be done in a span of less than 5 minutes. So even if you are working or you are outside, then also you can do deep breathing.
So is
Uh,
it different from our? Is it different from our traditional like Anulom Vilom? How different it is from that?
yes,
Or
sir.
this remains the same?
So this is slightly different. Like that is our traditional methods, and this is universal. Like it is different. That has slightly different principle. I am not sure of all the details, but it is different. And one can practice yoga, meditation, pranayam. Pranayam is even better. So this can also be done. I am not sorry, I have not mentioned it in my slides. Yoga, meditation, and pranayam. This is also good if you have time. This can also be done.
So now I would like to express my sincere thanks to all. First of all, I would like to thank our most distinguished guest speaker, Madam Dr. Apala Ji, for her insightful and thought-provoking session. I may like to express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Director, Sir Professor Sanjay Kumar Jha, for his unconditional support and motivation. I thank all my respected faculty members, my dear students, all the attendees, and the IT persons, Mr. Rahul Suri, Mr. Vivek Rawat, and the entire IT department, as well as the front office staff of ASLA, Mr. Akash, Mr. Dinesh, Mr. Manish, and Ms. Rachna, for giving your valuable time, your support to make this webinar a success. Thank you so much, everyone.
And thank you for the opportunity given to me. It was nice working with you. Thank you.